The council chamber stretched wide and tall, built to make visitors feel small. Ambassador Haina walked across the polished floor, her shoes clicking in the silence. Behind her, Commander Jinde followed, his military uniform crisp and clean. They had made this walk many times before. Today would be the last above them. The council members sat on raised platforms. Each alien race had its own design, its own seat of power. The Salthine looked like giant lizards, their scales catching the light. The Vreet were insect-like, their compound eyes watching everything. A dozen other species filled the chamber, all older than humanity's spacefaring civilization, all more powerful, or so they believed. High Chancellor Voth leaned forward on his platform. His forked tongue tasted the air. Humans, you come before us again with your complaints. Haina stopped in the center of the chamber. She did not bow. She had never bowed. We come with the same requests we have made for 5 years. Fair trade agreements. Protection from raiders. Equal representation in council votes. A sound like grinding stones came from the Vreet Prime merchant clique. It was laughter. Protection. Your colonies cry for help every month. Your ships burn in the void. And still, you demand to sit at our table as equals. Jinde's jaw tightened, but he stayed silent. Haina had taught him well. Words were weapons here, and timing was everything. We have lost 3 colonies this year, Haina said, her voice calm. 17,000 people. Men, women, children. The raiders knew exactly where to strike. They knew our patrol schedules. They knew which systems had weak defenses. Space is dangerous, Voth said, waving a clawed hand. Perhaps humanity expanded too quickly. Perhaps you should have stayed on your little blue world. Perhaps, Haina agreed. Her agreement seemed to surprise them. We did ask for help. We asked for council protection, as the Charter promises to all member species. The Charter, Cleat chittered, promises protection to species who contribute to galactic society. What do humans contribute? You have no rare resources we need. Your technology is primitive. Your culture is violent and crude. You take and take and take. You give nothing. Jinde felt his datapad vibrate in his pocket. Once, twice, 3 times. The signal he had been waiting for. He caught Haina's eye and gave the slightest nod. Haina clasped her hands behind her back. I see. Then let me ask you directly, High Chancellor. Did the Council order the attacks on our colonies? The chamber fell silent. Several council members shifted uncomfortably. Voth's eyes narrowed. Order? No. His voice was smooth, almost kind. But we did not prevent them either. The raiders asked permission to enter certain sectors. We granted it. They asked for patrol schedules. We provided them. Consider it a lesson, Ambassador. In the galaxy, the strong survive. The weak learn their place or die. And our places. Haina asked. Beneath us, Voth said simply. Accept protected species status. Let the elder races guide you. In time, perhaps in 1,000 years, humanity might earn a real voice. But today, you are children playing at politics. Haina was quiet for a long moment. Jinde watched her, wondering if she felt what he felt. The rage burning in his chest, the desire to show these creatures exactly how dangerous humanity could be. But Haina's face showed nothing. I have one more question, she said. The protected species status. What does it require? Cleat's mandibles clicked with pleasure. Simple terms, you give us access to all your worlds. We control your military. We manage your trade. We guide your breeding programs to reduce your aggressive tendencies. In exchange, we protect you from raiders. We protect you from yourselves. Slavery, Jinde said, the word escaping before he could stop it. Partnership, Voth corrected. Beneficial to all. We have offered this to every young species, most except within their first century. You humans have been difficult for 47 years. Today, we require an answer. Haina looked up at the council members, her eyes moving from one to another. And if we refuse, then you refuse council protection, Voth said. Trade sanctions begin immediately. Military blockades of your core worlds within the month. Your species will be isolated, cut off, starved of resources. You will crawl back to us within a year, begging for the same terms we offer now. But then, the price will be higher. I see. Haina pulled a small device from her jacket. She pressed it, and a holographic display appeared in the air. This is the Council Charter. Article 7. All member species have the right to withdraw from the Council at any time for any reason. You would not dare, Cleet hissed. Without the Council, humanity is nothing. Maybe Haina said. Or maybe we have been preparing for this moment since the day we joined. Maybe we knew from the first insult, the first dismissal, the first time you called us children, that this day would come. She pressed another button. The hologram changed to show a single line of text in every major galactic language. Humanity withdraws from the Galactic Council, effective immediately. The chamber erupted in noise. Shouts in a dozen languages, sounds of shock and anger. Voth slammed his hand on his platform. Silence, he roared. When quiet returned, he looked down at Haina with something like pity. Ambassador, you are making a mistake. Without council protection, humanity will not last a year. Perhaps, Haina said again. She turned to leave, Jinde falling in step beside her. At the door, she paused and looked back. You wanted to teach us a lesson, High Chancellor? You wanted to show us what happens without rules, without protection, without mercy, as Voth said. And you will learn it well. Haina smiled, and it was not a kind smile. No, High Chancellor. We already know that lesson. We learned it on Earth, when our planet tried to kill us every day. We learned it in our wars, when we nearly destroyed ourselves. We learned it in the void, when we crawled to the stars with nothing but will and rage. You never learned it. You lived in safety, in comfort, in peace. What is your point? Voth demanded. My point, Haina said softly, is that you wanted to see what humans do without rules. You are about to find out. You wanted to teach us fear, but you forgot something important. Fear is not a lesson we need to learn. It is a lesson we teach. She walked out, Jinde beside her. The doors closed behind them with a soft hiss. In the chamber, silence fell again. Then Voth laughed. Foolish children. They signed their own death warrant. Send word to the Raider clans. Human space is open territory now. No restrictions. Take what you want around him. The council members nodded in agreement. None of them noticed the strange silence that had fallen across human communication channels. None of them saw the ships moving in the dark. None of them understood that humanity had not walked away in defeat. They had walked away to prepare for war. And humans, as they would soon learn, were very good at war. Captain Sung Woo stood on the bridge of the Shadow of Earth, watching the stars through the viewport. His ship was small, fast, and completely invisible to every sensor system the galaxy used. It had cost humanity 15 years and half their military budget to build just 12 ships like this. The Council thought human technology was primitive. That was exactly what humanity wanted them to think, Captain, his communications officer, said. Another Southine merchant vessel requesting permission to dock at Terra Station. What does Terra Station say? Sung Woo asked. Nothing, sir. The station went dark 4 days ago. No signals, no lights, no activity. Alam la la da la la la. Sung Woo nodded. It was happening across human space. One by one, every colony, every station, every settlement was going silent. Not destroyed, not abandoned, just silent. The aliens did not understand what it meant. They would learn. 3 weeks had passed since Ambassador Haina walked out of the council chamber. 3 weeks since humanity left the table. In that time, the galaxy had watched and waited for humans to collapse. Instead, they simply vanished. On the far side of human territory, Dr. Rin Sol sat in a secure bunker deep beneath New Sol Colony. Around her, screens displayed information about every alien species in the council. Height, weight, body structure, weaknesses. She had been collecting this data for 20 years, since humanity first joined the galactic community. Their eyes, she said to the military officers gathered around her. The Southene have excellent vision in their normal environment, but they evolved on a world with constant sunlight. Darkness blinds them completely. The Vreet see in multiple spectrums, but loud noises confuse their sensory organs. The Krell breathe a methane-nitrogen mix. Pure oxygen is poison to them. Admiral Yunte, a gray-haired woman with hard eyes, listened carefully. And the council thinks we kept scientists like you around just to study their culture. Rin's soul smiled. They were half right. I did study their culture. I learned that they have not fought a real war in 3,000 years. They have skirmishes. They have political conflicts. But war? Total war? They forgot what it means. We haven't, Yunte said quietly. No, Rinsol agreed. We haven't. Earth made sure of that. Across the room, Lieutenant Ji-Yoon reviewed deployment orders on her tablet. Her special operations team had been training for this moment for 5 years. They knew how to move in darkness, how to strike without warning, how to kill in silence. The council species had soldiers, yes. Professional fighters who trained in academies and fought by rules of engagement. Humanity had something different. Humanity had survivors. The first target is Titan's Gate mining colony, Yunte said. Intelligence says a raider fleet of 60 ships is heading there. They expect easy pickings. What do we give them? June asked. Nightmare, Junte said simply. The transport left that night. Ji-Yoon and her team of 200 operators traveled in silence. They reached Titan's Gate 3 days before the raiders arrived. The civilian population had already been evacuated. What remained was empty buildings, dark corridors, and waiting soldiers. When the raider fleet arrived, they found exactly what they expected. A quiet colony with no defenses. Their troops landed in the main hangar bay, weapons ready, expecting scared humans to surrender. The lights went out in the darkness. The raiders activated their night vision equipment. It showed them heat signatures, movement, the shapes of the buildings around them. What it did not show them was the humans waiting in the cold, their body temperatures lowered by special suits, their movements perfectly still. The first raider died without making a sound. A blade across the throat, a hand over the mouth. His body lowered gently to the ground. The second and third died the same way. By the time the raiders realized something was wrong, half their landing force was gone. Someone screamed. The sound echoed through the darkness, high and terrified. More screams followed. The raiders fired their weapons blindly, hitting their own people more often than the enemy they could not see. In panic, they called for their ships to fire on the colony, to destroy everything. The ships did not answer. In orbit, Captain Sung-woo's Shadow of Earth had already disabled their communications. Then his weapons locked on. One by one, the raider ships died in silence, torn apart by missiles they never saw coming. On the ground, Ju-Yoon moved through the darkness like a ghost. Her team had trained for years to fight in conditions that would blind or disable other species. The raiders had superior numbers, better weapons, more experience in space combat. None of it mattered. They were fighting on human terms now, and humans had been fighting in the dark since before they discovered fire. When the sun rose over Titan's Gate 6 hours later, the raider force was gone. Every ship destroyed. Every soldier dead. The colony stood empty and clean, as if nothing had happened. Across the galaxy, word spread. Carefully at first, whispers on trade networks and military channels, a raider fleet had vanished. 60 ships, gone without a trace. Some said it was a navigation error. Some said it was an anomaly in space. None of them wanted to admit the truth, but the raider clans knew. They sent scouts to investigate. The scouts found the wreckage of the fleet orbiting Titan's Gate. They found the bodies in the colony. They found something else too. A message left on every surface, written in every language the raiders spoke. You came for easy prey. You found hunters? Leave human space. There will be no second warning. The scouts fled. The raider clans held emergency meetings. They had terrorized the galaxy for centuries, preying on weak colonies and poorly defended settlements. They had never encountered prey that fought back like this. Some clans voted to leave human space alone. Others, angrier and more arrogant, voted to send bigger fleets. Those fleets never came home either. In the council chamber, High Chancellor Voth received the reports with growing concern. It had been 3 weeks since humanity left the council. In that time, 5 raider fleets had vanished. Trade ships reported human colonies going dark. Spy networks stopped reporting. And strangest of all, human ships had begun appearing in deep space, ships of designs never seen before. Send our fleet to investigate, Voth ordered. Find out what the humans are doing. The fleet left 2 days later. 40 warships, the pride of the Salthine military. They jumped to the edge of human space and began scanning for human vessels. They found one. A single human ship, small and alone, drifting as if damaged. The fleet commander ordered his ships to surround it. They demanded the human ship identify itself. The ship did not answer. Instead, every human ship within 10 light years appeared on sensors at once. Not one ship. Hundreds. They had been there the whole time, invisible. Waiting Commander Han Quan watched from his command chair as the alien fleet realized their mistake. Send the message, he said quietly. On every Salthine ship, screens lit up with the same words. You wanted to see what humans do without rules. This is what we do. We hunt, we kill, we win. Tell your High Chancellor that fear has started, and it is only beginning. The fleet jumped away in panic, running for home. They left 3 ships behind, 2 damaged to flee. Han Quan let them go. They would carry the message better than any weapon could. In her bunker, Rin Sol watched the reports come in. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. Humanity had spent 47 years learning about the galaxy. Now they would spend 47 days teaching it a new lesson. Admiral Yunte stood beside her. Phase 1 complete. The galaxy knows we can fight. Now we show them we can win. And after that? Rin Sol asked. Yunte smiled and it was cold. After that, we show them mercy. But only after they beg for it. War Master Grend had fought in 17 conflicts during his 300 years of life. He had commanded fleets, conquered worlds, and earned medals from 3 different empires. He thought he understood war. He thought he understood fear. Then he met humanity, and learned he understood nothing. His fleet of 80 ships hung in orbit around a Salthine military outpost. It was a strong position, well defended, with sensor networks that could detect any ship within 100,000 kilometers. Grend felt safe. That was his first mistake, War Master, his sensor officer said. I'm detecting anomalies in the outer sensor grid. What kind of anomalies? Grend asked. Brief contacts. They appear for a second, then vanish. It could be debris or sensor ghosts or... The officer never finished the sentence. Every ship in Grend's fleet lost power at once. Lights died. Life support failed. Weapons went offline. In the sudden darkness and silence, Grend heard his crew starting to panic. Then the lights came back on. Emergency power only dim and red. Grend looked at his screens and saw something impossible. 5 human ships surrounded his fleet. They had appeared from nowhere, closer than sensors should have allowed, closer than should have been possible. All ships, fire, Grend ordered. His weapons did not respond. None of his ship's weapons responded. The human ships had done something to their systems, something that shut down every offensive capability while leaving life support intact. They wanted Grend's people alive. That frightened him more than death would have. A message appeared on his screen. Commander Han Quan's face looked back at him, human features calm and cold. War Master Grend, the human said, you have a choice. Surrender your fleet and your crews will be taken to a secure location until the war ends. Refuse, and we destroy every ship. You have 60 seconds. Grend wanted to fight. His pride demanded it. But he looked at the human ships, at the way they moved with perfect coordination, at the technology that could shut down his entire fleet without firing a shot. He looked at his crew, at the young soldiers who trusted him to keep them alive. We surrender, he said. Han Quan nodded. You made the right choice. Other commanders will not be so wise. The human ships took Gren's fleet to a prison station deep in human space. There Gren met other alien officers, other proud commanders who had been beaten by these strange, violent primates. They sat together in a common room, comparing stories, trying to understand how they had lost. "It's their technology," a Vret captain insisted. "They have weapons we cannot detect, ships we cannot see. They must have been hiding this advancement for decades. It's their tactics," a Krell commander argued. "They do not fight with honor. They ambush, they hide, they strike from darkness. They are cowards." Gren said nothing. He had seen something in Commander Han Quan's eyes, something that haunted him. It was not pride in superior technology. It was not the triumph of clever tactics. It was something colder, something that came from deep inside. It was the look of a predator that had been pretending to be prey. Across the galaxy, the war spread. Human ships appeared in systems that should have been secure. They destroyed military targets with precision, leaving civilian areas untouched. But they did more than destroy. They disrupted. Trade routes that had existed for centuries suddenly became dangerous. Ships vanished. Cargo never arrived. The economic heart of the Galactic Council began to fail. Captain Hai-Ji had spent 15 years as a civilian trader, moving goods between alien worlds. Everyone knew her. Everyone trusted her. None of them knew she was human military intelligence. Now, with war declared, she activated dozens of other deep cover agents across the galaxy. Factories experienced mysterious equipment failures. Power grids went offline. Communication networks glitched at critical moments. None of it was obvious sabotage. Everything could be explained as accidents or bad luck. But the cumulative effect was devastating. In space, young pilot Unico became a legend. She flew a small fighter alone against entire squadrons. Her ship moved like it was alive, dodging fire that should have killed her, striking from angles that should have been impossible. In 3 weeks, she had destroyed 47 enemy vessels without taking a single hit. Alien pilots told stories about her. They called her the Ghost. Some refused to fly in sectors where she had been spotted. Veteran pilots with decades of experience requested transfers rather than face her. Unica was 23 years old and had been flying combat missions for 6 months. What the aliens did not understand was that Unica was not special. She was good, yes, but humanity had 10,000 pilots just like her. Young, aggressive, willing to take risks that made alien commanders sick with fear. They flew like humans had always fought, with desperation and creativity and a complete disregard for their own safety. The Galactic Council called emergency meetings every day now. They had lost 40% of their military forces in less than a month. Their economy was collapsing. Their populations were demanding answers. How could humans, barely advanced enough to join the Council 50 years ago, be winning? Prime Merchant Cleet addressed the Council, his voice shaking. "We must negotiate. We must offer them terms. This war is destroying us." "No," High Chancellor Voth snarled. "We do not negotiate with humans. We crush them. Send every ship we have. Overwhelm them with numbers." "We tried that," War Master Gren said. He had been summoned from the prison station to brief the Council. "They turned our numbers against us. Every ship we send is another ship they capture or destroy. They are not fighting a war of conquest. They are fighting a war of extermination." "Extermination?" Voth repeated. "They have not attacked civilian targets. They have not destroyed our colonies. What extermination?" Gren looked at the High Chancellor with tired eyes. "Not extermination of our people. Extermination of our will to fight. They want us to surrender. They want us to beg. And War Master, they are succeeding." As if to prove his point, a message arrived. It was broadcast on every council channel, on every public network, translated into every language. Ambassador Haina's face appeared on screens across the galaxy. "People of the Galactic Council," she said. "For 5 years, humanity asked for peace. We asked for fair treatment. We asked for the protection your charter promised. You gave us contempt. You gave us mockery. You gave us death. Now you ask why we make war. Now you ask why we destroy your fleets and cripple your economy. Let me tell you why. It is not revenge. It is not hatred. It is a lesson. The same lesson you tried to teach us. In this galaxy, the strong survive. The weak learn their place or die. You thought you were strong. You were wrong. You thought we were weak? You were wrong about that too. She paused, letting her words sink in. But humanity is not without mercy. We remember what it means to be weak. We remember what it means to be afraid. So we offer you one chance. One opportunity to end this war before your civilizations burn. Hi, Chancellor Voth. You know where to find us. We will be waiting at the place where you dismissed us. At the place where you called us children. Come alone. Come unarmed. Come ready to listen. Because this time, humanity will do the talking. The message ended. Across the galaxy, billions of beings watched and waited. Some hoped for peace. Some demanded continued war. All of them felt something they had not felt in thousands of years of civilized existence. They felt fear, and in their prison cells, captured alien officers like Grend understood the final terrible truth. Humanity had not revealed all their weapons. They had not shown their full strength. Everything up to now had been a demonstration, a warning, a lesson in what humans could do when they stopped pretending to be civilized. If the Council refused peace, if they demanded total war, humanity would give it to them, and the galaxy would burn. High Chancellor Voth did not accept the invitation. Instead, he declared total war. Every species in the Council was ordered to send their fleets to crush humanity once and for all. It was the biggest military mobilization in galactic history. 3,000 warships from a dozen different species, all converging on human space. Fleet Admiral Jinte watched them come. She stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, humanity's flagship, surrounded by tactical displays and sensor readouts. The enemy fleet was massive, powerful, unstoppable. She smiled. All ships, she said calmly, execute Protocol Nightmare. The human fleet did not engage the alien armada. Instead, they scattered. Small groups of ships jumped to different systems, leading the enemy forces in a dozen different directions. The alien commanders thought they were chasing fleeing humans. They were wrong. In the Krenter system, a Vreet battle group of 300 ships pursued 20 human vessels. The humans led them through an asteroid field, moving with impossible precision. The Vreet ships followed, confident in their superior numbers. Then the asteroids began to explode. Humans had been mining this field for months, placing charges on thousands of rocks. When the Vreet fleet was deep inside, the trap closed. Rock and metal and fire filled the space between the ships. Half the fleet died in minutes. The rest retreated in chaos. In the Fella sector, the Salthine Armada chased human ships toward what sensors showed was an empty moon. When they entered orbit, the moon came alive. It was not a moon. It was a battle station, hidden and silent for years, waiting for this moment. Its weapons tore into the Salthine fleet from point-blank range. The ships that survived fled, broadcasting warnings about human deception. Again and again, the pattern repeated. The aliens had numbers. They had power. But humans had preparation, patience, and the willingness to turn every rock, every moon, every empty system, into a weapon. In 3 days, the great Allied fleet was broken. Ships limped back to their homeworlds, carrying stories of impossible defeats and inhuman tactics. The Council had sent 3,000 ships. Fewer than 800 returned, but humanity was not satisfied with defense. Fleet Admiral Jinte gave the order that would change everything. Begin the siege of Southin Prime. The Southin homeworld was one of the most heavily defended planets in the galaxy. Orbital stations, defense platforms, thousands of automated weapons systems. No enemy had threatened it in 5,000 years. The Salthine believed it was invincible. Jinte's fleet arrived in perfect formation. 100 ships, small by the standards of the recent battle. The orbital defenses opened fire immediately, thousands of weapons launching at once. The human fleet did not flee. They did not even return fire. They simply moved, dancing between the incoming fire with computer-precise coordination. For 6 hours, the defenses fired. For 6 hours, they hit nothing. The humans were studying them, learning their patterns, mapping their weaknesses. When they finally struck back, it was with surgical precision. One defense platform destroyed, then another, then another. Each strike was calculated, efficient. Perfect Jinte broadcast the entire siege across every communication channel in the galaxy. She wanted everyone to watch. She wanted them to see what happened when you challenged humanity. This was not about conquest. This was about demonstration. On the third day, half the orbital defenses were gone. Saltine military commanders begged High Chancellor Voth to surrender. He refused. His pride would not allow it. So the siege continued. Pilot Unicoa led strike after strike into the defensive grid. Her squadron moved like sharks through water, fast and deadly. Each run destroyed another piece of the Saltine defenses. Each run made it clear that humanity could have ended this siege in hours if they wanted to. They were drawing it out, making sure the entire galaxy watched in the council chamber. Now meeting without the Saltine, panic spread. The Varit Prime merchant stood before the others, his voice desperate. We must surrender. If the Saltine fall, we are all next. The humans will not stop until we are all broken. We cannot surrender to an inferior species, a Krell representative insisted. It would be shameful. Shame? Kleet's voice rose to a shriek. They have destroyed our economies. They have shattered our fleets. They have shown the entire galaxy that we are weak. What shame is left to preserve? The argument continued for hours. Meanwhile, species began to defect. The Merchant Consortium announced neutrality and open trade with humanity. 2 minor species formally surrendered, begging for mercy. 3 more simply fled beyond the galactic rim. Abandoning their council seats entirely, the Galactic Council was fracturing, and everyone knew who was responsible. On Saltine Prime, civilians watched the sky with fear. Human ships moved above them, visible to the naked eye, untouchable by their military. Food shipments could not get through. Trade was cut off. Power grids failed as orbital stations were destroyed. It was not an invasion. It was a slow, methodical dismantling of everything that made their civilization work. Ambassador Haina made another broadcast. This time, she spoke directly to the Saltine people. Your High Chancellor chose this war. He chose pride over peace. He chose arrogance over wisdom. Now, you suffer for his choices. We do not want to destroy you. We want you to understand. Humanity asked for fairness. We asked for respect. We were denied. Now we take what we asked for, and we show you what happens when you mistake patience for weakness. Below, in the council bunker, High Chancellor Voth watched his world fall apart. His military advisors told him the orbital defense would fail within the week. His economic ministers told him the planet would run out of food within the month. His political allies, one by one, abandoned him. Finally, War Master Gren spoke the words everyone was thinking. High Chancellor, we must surrender. There is no other way, Nevervoth hissed. I will not bow to humans. Then you will watch your world die, Gren said quietly. Is that better? Is your pride worth more than our people? Voth had no answer. He sat in silence as reports came in. Another defense platform destroyed. Another supply ship turned away. Another day closer to total collapse. He had lived for 400 years. He had led his people for 70. He had never imagined it would end like this. A message arrived from Fleet Admiral Jinte. It was simple, direct, devastating. High Chancellor, your orbital defenses will fail in 4 days. When they do, we will not invade your world. We will not harm your people. We will simply leave you isolated. No trade, no contact. No place in the galaxy that was once yours? Or you can end this now. You know where to find us. You know what we want? The choice, as always, is yours. That night, Voth made his decision. He sent a message to the council, to what remained of it. prepare a delegation. We will meet the humans. We will hear their terms. Across the galaxy, the news spread like fire. The Salthine were surrendering. The council was broken. Humanity, the species, everyone had dismissed as primitive children, had won a war against civilizations that had existed for millennia. They had done it in less than 3 months. They had done it without destroying a single civilian target. They had done it by being smarter, faster, and more ruthless than anyone thought possible. In her quarters on the Indomitable, Jinte allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. Then she began preparing for the next phase. The war was ending. Now came the harder part. Building a peace that would last. Teaching the galaxy a lesson they would never forget. She thought of Ambassador Haina's words, spoken so long ago in the council chamber. You wanted to teach us fear? But you forgot something. Fear is not a lesson we need to learn. It is a lesson we teach. The lesson was almost complete. Soon, the galaxy would learn what came after fear. They would learn what happened when humanity offered mercy, and they would learn to be grateful for it. The alien delegates arrived on Earth in small, unarmed vessels. They came from every species that had once sat in the Galactic Council, looking down on humanity with contempt. Now they came as supplicants, as the defeated, as beings who had learned what happened when you pushed humans too far. Secretary General Day One greeted them at the entrance to the United Nations Assembly Hall. He was an old man, gray-haired and calm, wearing a simple suit. Behind him stood representatives from every human nation and colony. No weapons, no soldiers, just people, standing together. "Welcome to Earth," Day One said. "Please, come inside." The aliens walked through streets filled with human civilians. Children played in parks. People sat in cafes, talking and laughing. Music drifted from open windows. The aliens had expected a fortress world, armed and militarized. Instead, they found a living planet. A place where people existed in peace, even while their military conquered the galaxy. High Chancellor Wath walked beside Prime Merchant Cleet. Both had been stripped of their titles by their own people, sent to negotiate surrender. War Master Grend walked behind them, still technically a prisoner, but released for this occasion. Other representatives followed, solemn parade of the humbled and the broken. Inside the assembly hall, they found a simple room with a round table. No raised platforms. No seats of power. Everyone would sit as equals. It was the thing humanity had asked for 5 years ago. Now they had taken it. Secretary General Day Wan sat at the table. Ambassador Haina sat beside him. On his other side, General Sung Min, the architect of humanity's victory, waited patiently. Around the rest of the table, chairs sat empty, waiting for the aliens. "Please, sit," Day Wan said. They sat. The silence was heavy, uncomfortable. Finally, Voth spoke. "You have one. State your terms." "In a moment," Day Wan said. "First, I want you to understand something. This war was not about territory. It was not about resources. It was not even about revenge, though we would have been justified in seeking it. This war was about teaching a lesson. Do you understand what lesson that was?" Cleet's mandibles clicked nervously. "That humanity is stronger than we believed." "No," Haina said quietly. "That is not the lesson. We are not stronger than you. We are smaller, fewer, less advanced in many ways. But we had something you forgot. We had necessity. We had desperation. We had the memory of what it means to struggle." General Sungmin leaned forward. Every species in the Galactic Council evolved on worlds that welcomed them. Warm suns. Stable climates. Abundant food. Your planets raised you like loving parents. Earth tried to kill us. Ice ages and supervolcanoes. Predators and plagues. We did not conquer our world. We survived it. Every day for millions of years, we survived it. That made us different. Different how? Grand asked. It made us creative, Sungmin said. When you faced a problem, you used established solutions. When we faced a problem, we tried everything until something worked. It made us adaptable. You evolved for your specific environments. We evolved to survive anywhere. And it made us stubborn. You gave up when things became difficult. We kept fighting because giving up meant death. Juan nodded. You asked us to accept protected species status, to let you guide us, to become your vassals. You did not understand that humanity cannot be tamed. We are survivors. We are fighters. We are the species that looked at the stars and decided to reach them, even though we had no idea how. So what now? Voth asked bitterly. You destroy us? You enslave us? You make us feel what you felt. No, Daewon said. That is not who we are. We fought this war to teach you a lesson, not to become what you were. Our terms are simple. He pushed a document across the table. The Terran Accords. Read them. The aliens read in silence. The terms were not what they expected. Complete demilitarization of aggressive species. Yes. Reparations for lives lost. Yes, but also protection for weaker species. Laws against slavery and predation. Economic aid for rebuilding. Cultural exchange programs. And most surprising of all, limited amnesty for those who surrendered peacefully. You are not demanding tribute, Cleet asked, confused. Oh, Haina said. We do not want to rule the galaxy. We want to fix it. For 5 years, we asked you to enforce your own laws. Laws against raiding. Laws against slavery. Laws protecting member species. You ignored them because it was convenient. Because the victims were weak. Because you could. Now we will enforce those laws. And we will make sure no species ever suffers what we suffered. You want to become our protectors? Voth asked, his voice filled with irony. No, General Sungmin said. We want to become your equals. Finally, that is all we ever wanted. But we will protect those who cannot protect themselves. We will punish those who prey on the weak. And we will ensure that the Galactic Council serves all species, not just the strong. Dr. Rin Sol, who had been sitting quietly, finally spoke. We studied you for 47 years. Every species, every culture, every weakness. We built psychological profiles of your leaders. We predicted how you would react to every move we made. This entire war was planned before it began. We knew the Council would reject our final appeal. We knew you would order increased raids. We knew you would send your fleets. We knew you would fracture under pressure. Everything that happened was calculated. The aliens stared at her in horror. You manipulated us, Gren said. Yes, Rinsol agreed. The same way you've manipulated us for 5 years. The same way you allowed raiders to attack us to teach us our place. We simply did it better. Daewon raised his hand for silence, but that is over now. We are not interested in playing games or seeking revenge. We are interested in building something better. A galaxy where species cooperate instead of dominate. Where the strong protect the weak instead of exploiting them. Where peace is more than just the absence of war. And if we refuse these terms, Voth asked. Haina smiled, and it was not cruel. Then we leave. We take our technology, our ships, our trade, and we go. We build our own civilization beyond your borders. And when your economy collapses, when your worlds starve, when the raiders come and there is no one to stop them, you will remember this moment. You will remember that we offered you mercy, and you will wish you had taken it. The silence that followed was absolute. The aliens looked at each other, at the humans, at the document on the table. They had come expecting punishment. They had received opportunity. It was more frightening than any threat could have been. We need time to discuss this, Voth said. Of course, Daewon replied. You have 3 days. We will provide you with quarters, food, anything you need. Walk our world. Meet our people. Understand who we are. Then decide. The aliens spent those 3 days learning. They saw human hospitals healing aliens wounded in the war. They saw human engineers rebuilding what had been destroyed. They saw human children learning about alien cultures in schools. They saw a species that had every reason to hate them, showing kindness instead. On the 3rd day, they returned to the assembly hall. Voth stood, and for the first time since arriving on Earth, he bowed. We accept your terms. All of them. And we apologize for what we did, for what we forced you to become. You did not force us to become anything, General Sungmin said. You revealed what we always were. Survivors, fighters, builders. We did not change. We simply stopped pretending to be weak. The Terran Accords were signed that day. Humanity took permanent seats on the Galactic Council. Laws were rewritten to protect all species. Military forces were restructured under joint command to prevent future wars. Trade agreements were made fair. Reparations began. But more than that, a new understanding spread across the galaxy. A saying that emerged in 1,000 languages, spoken by 1 billion voices: never anger the species that climbed from the bottom of a gravity well, survived their own sun, and called a death world home. When humans leave the table, fear sits down in their place. But when they return, they bring justice. And justice is more terrible than fear. Years later, Ambassador Haina stood in the same council chamber where she had once been dismissed. Now she sat at the table as an equal. Beside her sat Voth, no longer High Chancellor, but still a representative of his people. They were not friends. They never would be. But they were partners in building something better.
Oh.
Do you regret it? Voth asked quietly. The war? The death. Every day, Haina said honestly. But I do not regret teaching you the lesson. Some things can only be learned through pain. You needed to understand what you had become. Comfortable, cruel, convinced of your own superiority. Now you know better. And humanity? Voth asked. What did you learn? Haina smiled. That we are more than survivors. We are builders, healers, teachers. We can be as good at peace as we are at war. Perhaps better. Time will tell. She looked out at the stars through the viewport. Somewhere out there, human ships patrolled. Not as conquerors. Not as overlords. As protectors? As the species that remembered what it meant to be weak and refused to let others suffer. What they had suffered, humanity had left the table. They had made the galaxy learn fear. But they had also returned with something more important. They had returned with hope. And in the end, that was the lesson that mattered most.